CarolinaPrepper.com. If you're looking for quality food storage for hiking, fishing, hunting, basic survival needs, or just for everyday use, check out our food storage line at CarolinaPrepper.com. We also carry other fine quality products such as our can concealment holsters for men and women. Keeping your firearm under cover and within reach puts confidence in your hands in any situation. Our products are 100% American made. Check us out today at CarolinaPrepper.com.
And now, it's time to Stand for Truth with the host of Stand for Truth Radio, Susan Knowles.
horrible problems on YouTube this morning. I have no idea why. I think it's the Russians. Try again, Shauna, just see if it, I'm starting it back up, and I don't know if it's going to work or not, but yeah, let me know if you can hear any sound over there on YouTube. I have no idea. It was working before. Of course, it went live today. So, Gorka destroyed CNN. Yeah. It's the Russians. It's always the Russians. And, you know, it's always a problem. It's always an issue with them. But anyway, I guess my whole point is that, you know, we need to be talking about who she is. We need to be talking about why she was sitting there and so privileged in conversations like that. Why is she? Who is she? You know, was she put there by the Democrats? A lot of people think this whole thing was merely nothing more than the Democrats who set everybody up. You know, who set the Trump campaign up. And you know, I would be absolutely not surprised that that's the case. And so, you know, I think we have to just look at that and go from there. But we do need to do research. We need to find out. If the Russians help not get Hillary, then God bless them. Yeah. And as quickly as Donald Trump Jr.'s emails came out, the message came out of, oh, you know, we're going to have Mueller now is going to look at everything. Mueller is going to have this be a part of his investigation. Who can look at this? The Department of Justice ought to be looking at stuff. And again, I don't know what's going to happen with the DOJ. I don't know if the DOJ is going to say, oh, I can't touch this because it's Russia. And, you know, that Sessions will recuse himself again. Sessions has got to stop recusing himself and get back on board. You know, nobody else is worried about a conflict here. If you know, Mueller, with the biggest conflict there ever was, is not worried about it. So therefore, why should we be worried about it? We shouldn't continually be worried about things like that. But we are. So, you know, and I know we want to do it right. And I guess in my opinion, we would be doing it right. Would still be doing it right. But we got to start doing something. And, you know, let's look into Comey. Let's look into Clinton. Let's see what all this stuff is. How can they get Mueller out? Mueller, that has to come from the AG's office. The Rosenstein is the only one, Amy, that can get Mueller out. You know, there's been talk that other people can get him out, but it's according to the law that I've read, it's the person who brought him in is the person that can, you know, take him out. Yeah, and that would be great. And he can also say, the deputy, Rosenstein, can also say, hey, you know, we don't need you to be doing this much. We're going to cut your funds so that you're not going to have as many funds to do what it is that you want to do, to hire all these, 13 plus Democrat lawyers who gave money to Clinton. So we need to be curbing that, and nobody is doing that. So, you know, we have to wait and see. You know, if the Republicans are going to do anything, or if they're just going to sit and complain. Are Dems getting a payday for all this time spent on deflecting? Maybe you want to try to find that person you're looking for there, guy. So, you know, we can encourage, we can continue to contact the AG's office and telling them we demand that you look into these things. We can contact our Congress people and say we demand that you look into these things. A lot of times I don't know that it's going to help, but if we don't do something and try, then we're not going to do anything. We're going to always be on the defense. Karen said, Comey, Lynch, Clinton, Obama, we have enough to investigate for the next 8 years. We really do, Karen. We really do. Marlene, how did Ray just throw Trump under the bus? Because I know there's the Senate hearing going on right now with Ray. What did he say? Asher, you can hear now, I guess, over there, hopefully. I think YouTube must be having problems this morning, but hopefully you're back up and can hear everything. So let me know how Ray just now threw Trump under the bus. Yes, thanks. Thanks, Shauna. Don't know what it was. Don't know what the issue was, but at least it's up and working now. He said Mueller investigation is not a witch hunt. Well, yeah, that's I don't know how he would think that, but there you go. I get maybe the FBI people all think alike. They think like Comey, God forbid. But I don't know how he can say it's not a witch hunt unless we don't know things that Mueller's doing, and unless we don't know what he's doing behind the scenes, and that perhaps he is looking at the Clinton and investigating Clinton and Hillary Clinton and the emails there and the server and Comey. I mean, I can't see it, but I mean, it's a possibility. Maybe he believes that's what's being done. Maybe he has a little, I don't think he has inside information, but maybe a bigger hunch on how things are done. Just because MSF and Dems scream about something doesn't mean we must respond. That's true. Yeah, maybe it is to be agreeable with what the FBI is doing, so it looks like he's a team player and he's supporting them, and that he would go against Donald Trump if necessary. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I do know that these Senate hearings, I don't like them because they're a waste of time mostly. If you ever watch them in the very beginning, all that they do, yeah, kissing butt, Marlene said, all they do is it's their agenda. Hey, Amanda, it's their agenda. They sit there like Feinstein, the first thing, words out of her mouth. Oh, we're having to look for a new FBI director because Comey was fired. Russia, Russia, Russia. I mean, that's all it is. And they go on for, 15 minutes apiece practically. And then they talk about themselves and their political gains and their political goals. That's all it is. Karen said, unless Mueller does have the integrity to do what's ultimately right. I know, Karen, and we don't know that. I mean, it seems like the Democrats are certainly comfortable that he has the integrity to do what's right. But they, depending upon the time of day and what was said, they also felt the same way about Comey. And one day they hated him and the next day they loved him. Hey, Cully, they are just grandstanding for the cameras. Absolutely, Cully. It is a waste of time. It's their TV show, Barbara said. And that's it. It's their opportunity to go out in front of the public and make a big deal. Lindsey Graham was rude. Lindsey Graham, I wrote an article today about the whole Donald Trump Jr. thing at SusanKnowles.com. If you want to go there and read it, I talk about Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is a Democrat. I mean, he may be a Republican, but he's a Democrat. We can only hope that good men will stand for right. And we can only hope, Karen, also, that he is actually a good man. Comey, I don't always ignore felonies, but when I do, it's because I found my suicide note on HRC's server. I know, Clifford. And that's the thing. I mean, why aren't we looking right now into Comey putting possible classified information on those memos? Are we going to take his friend's word for it that he never gave classified information to him? It's like, oh, well, nothing was marked classified when he gave it to me, says the college professor. So therefore, you should believe me because I'm a college professor. McCain is a Dem also. Absolutely, Cully. I call Graham and McCain the Bobbsey twins. They are the Bobbsey twins. That's all they are. And they're against this administration. They're for themselves. It is all of the deflection. And we're supposed to travel this road looking at Don Trump Jr. now and anybody else who happens to be in the Trump family. I don't know, is Tiffany going to be looked at later? Tiffany Trump, is she going to be the next person that they look at? Because that's all they want you to do. They want you to be so focused on Trump that you don't look at all at anything that they've done. When will they quit putting things in writing? I don't know. But, now you've got people suing over the tweets of Donald Trump because they don't think it's fair. And they don't think it's fair that he blocks people. They're already digging on Tiffany. I know they don't like her. Hope Sessions is working on this now. He doesn't have to give us a play-by-play, Karen said. Karen, I'm not sure what Sessions is doing, and a lot of people are wondering the same thing. Marianne says next it will be his grandkids. Yeah. Thank you, Asher. I think she's their wild child, so probably dating a Russian for the fun of it. Or she'll find a Russian so that she can be in that controversy herself. She's probably feeling a little lonely over there with, nothing going on. So, I mean, it's crazy, but we've got to start. Let's show the factual information. I think I tweeted this out on my timeline where Hannity talks about all the different things that are done on the other side. We need to continue to get that narrative out. Good morning, Veritas. Well, they've already gone after Barron. We back you up, President Trump, 100%. That's right, Keith. But let's talk about the uranium that Hillary gave away to the Russians. Let's talk about the 125 leaks and 125 days. Let's talk about deep state. Let's talk about the Susan Rice unveiling of everyone. Hey, Jerry, let's talk about all of that. Unmasking of Flynn and on and on and on. Yeah, they don't care about it, but we need to get it out to for the public that may start to hear and start to pay attention, that they can see it. Now we have I don't know if you've heard Representative Ron DeSantis down in Florida, where Shauna is. There are calls to eliminate. He wants Trump to eliminate all Obama admin officials, like get rid of them right now. Yes, Jerry said all this is a planned diversion with Trump Jr. And Ron is the chairman of the House National Security Subcommittee and member of the House Committee on Oversight. Okay, so here's a guy who knows what's going on, who sees that there's a problem, and wants to get rid of it. He also wants Sessions to start a full investigation into Comey for possible leaking of classified information. Hey, Barbara, thank you so much for the super hearts. I appreciate it. Hey, Cole, good to see you. MAGA is for sure. Karen said, my position is I'd rather have it right than fast. That's right, Karen. So I think the thing of it is, if, Sessions should listen to Ron and do what Ron says. Hey, Gary, good morning. They're wasting taxpayer money on all of these nothing Russia stories. And guess what, Lori? They don't care, because it's furthering their agenda. Clean the halls of the old dust bunnies, the halls of all the old dust bunnies. Yeah. Trump rules. He's our president. Absolutely. They just need to get these people out of here, and they should have done it a long time ago. No, I don't agree that Donald Trump Jr. was wrong in what he did. I don't. I think you would have done the same thing. If somebody told you there was information that you needed to look at, thank you for inviting followers, Danielle, and said it was important information that might help you in a race that you were competing in, or somebody that you knew, I think you'd want to know that information too. It doesn't mean that you'll use it. It doesn't mean that, it will amount to anything, but I think you would want to know what it is. And you'd want to know, is she doing anything wrong? Is there something that we need to see? Most people would have done it. I think what I would have done maybe differently is that I would have contacted legal counsel and said, here's what I've been contacted. This is what people are telling me. Should we go? Good morning, Max. How are you? I mean, that's the difference. I think that the only difference that I would have done. And I think, a lot of times, here's a guy, Donald Trump Jr., he's a businessman. And I think he thought, I don't need to ask anybody. I can just go handle this myself. I'll take a couple of people with me, and that'll be okay. Good morning, Susan. I would think you need to get rid of the Obama minions in sweeps of 1 week at a time. It has to be the only case in cases of employees who need to provide a skills transfer to the replacement otherwise gone, or those that are appointed that you can't get rid of. There are some positions that you can't just get rid of. You have to bring in new people. So, that could be possibly be the case. So, yes, Trump 2020, Trump Jr. was a civilian at the time, yes. And they don't care. They look at it as, he shouldn't have done it, and that's all they care about. And they really don't even care whether he should have done it or not. Hey, Mr. Second Amendment, all they care is that they can use this to keep the Russia narrative going. That's all they want to do. Nothing else. Yes, please do report that name. I see that name in here a lot. It changes names, and it's a disgusting name that we don't want in the scope. So, like I said, just make sure that you don't fall into the trap, that you don't start immediately thinking, oh, gosh, he did this and therefore there's something wrong with that. Media is dumb for keeping it going. Well, again, if we can just get the information out about him, we are seeing what the leftists are really all about, Karen said, and that's true. What we have to do is convince other people of what they're doing. And, I do like the fact I've gone to see some of the CNN posts on Twitter. I wanted to see what the comments were, and people are just memeing them to death. And so that's a really good thing. So anytime they post something, the memes start flying about fake news. And so we need to continue to remind them of what they've done, and keep bringing it out. Wonder who told Jared, get out of there. I don't know, Barbara. Democrats will set up Don Jr. They already have, they really already have. Do we know why there are no current investigations going on for Schumer's group? Republicans don't seem to go after the Dems with the same veracity. Excuse me, Susan. It's true, they don't, and I think that's a failing of ours. These people are suffering from cognitive dissonance. What do you mean about Jared? Jared was there at the meeting too with Donald Jr., Carmen, and they basically left. They just, they left. They saw that it was a nothing meeting, and that it was kind of a ruse perhaps to get them there, and nothing was going on. So it was a 20-minute conversation where nothing illegal happened that we know of. No money exchanged hands. She's not a government worker with the Kremlin, not connected. It was just a private meeting with private people. That was about all it is. Yeah, it's a setup, maybe. Yeah, that's what people are thinking. Yes, I saw that conservatives flooding CNN with funny meme responses to their hate posts. I know, and we just need to continue to do that. And maybe they'll get the idea that, part of what makes a system run is capitalism. If you don't like something, you speak out about it. And if CNN doesn't want to change what they're doing, then you're going to get people to continue doing this, and people will not watch them. So, they're a business, all right? They do everything, and they said, we do everything on ratings. Okay, well, so do we, right? We're the consumer. I love the memes because it just makes the Dems bristle, Susan said. Yeah, it does. It's definitely a setup because you saw Obama a few days later, right? Well, and you saw the attorney a few days later sitting at the front seat in a congressional hearing, right? And sitting there with the ambassador. She's obviously connected. So, again, just keep that in mind when you're looking at everything. Don't panic. Let's hope that the Republicans are smart enough to follow the advice of Ron DeSantis. We can always hope. Good morning, Hugh. How are you? Yeah, that's what everybody thinks, Danielle. Pretty much so, that it was a setup. But again, we have to move the narrative along. We have to put it back on them. Hey, Laura, back again. Probably getting kicked out and back in. If you will, please invite your followers at this time. I would follow the trail of what paid that Russian woman to meet with Trump Jr. You may be surprised. Yeah, I think, again, we need to know a little bit more about who she is, who got to her, maybe who questioned her, who told her to go there, and that type of thing. I think that's very important. Thank you for inviting your followers, everybody. I really appreciate that. Horse sense, yeah, well, it's probably Clinton. But you know what? Clintons are so hard to get at. And I know I keep telling you this, but if you really, really, really want to know about the Clintons and who they are and what they've done and have information at your fingertips, get that book, Partners in Crime, and read that book. Hey, Nancy, good to see you. It's really important. Gary is sitting in your living room. Ah, good. Gary and Hugh together at last in Canada. They seem to be very bad people. Or sense, absolutely. Gary, the wall will come down. Amanda, will we be scared? I don't know. But again, we don't do enough research on who people are. We really don't. We just let it go. I think we're just hoping, let's don't take the taxpayers' money and time, and let's just, things will pass, but they don't. Yeah, I mean, lawyers know each other, but it doesn't mean that they're connected or anything bad is happening. I knew people from the other side when I was practicing. It doesn't mean I was friends with them or anything else. Hannity posted, it was linked to a group hired by the Democrats. Yeah. I mean, the Fusion group, is that what you're talking about, Cully? I mean, that's the speculation. The nut doesn't fall far from the tree. So true when you're talking about Chelsea. In other news, and I forgot to mention this yesterday, and I think you've probably heard this. There's a special ops forces where the helicopter went down in a refueling over Mississippi. 16 died in the crash, Marine Corps crash. None of the people that died supposedly were from Mississippi. 7 were from the elite Marine unit at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. 9 came from Orange County, New York. So very tragic, and they still don't know what caused that crash. Was a C-130 was not a yeah. But I don't know, Danielle, I thought there was a helicopter involved somewhere, and there was a C-130 that was taking a lot of people. That would be room enough for like 15 or 16 people. But I thought there was a helicopter that was doing the refueling, but maybe not. But those C-130s are very big. I don't know if you've ever been on one. I have. And they're, they line up on each side, and you're sitting there. It's not like a regular airplane where you have nice, comfy seats or anything like that. Yeah, very, very sad. And in the beginning, they were talking about it was kind of a mishap during the refueling, and then it kind of changed, so I don't know. You go to Europe on them, Danielle? Oh, my gosh. Uncomfortable. Should be all over the news. Did Russia collude with Trump during the election? No. That was very sad, Amanda. Prayers for these brave men and women and their families. Yes. Yes, very uncomfortable. There's no first class on a C-130. Refueling is very dangerous. Very dangerous. And they were on some type of training. I know, that's what I heard. It was a refueling. Was it a refueling jet? Yeah, I mean, I've heard so many different things. I don't know what it was. I do know that C-130 was involved, but that's all I know. Hey, Robert. And they were training, doing some type of training before deploying, and they didn't say where they were deploying to or anything else. Oh, wow. Danielle said it blew an engine at 20,000 feet. That's not good. Everyone watch One America News. News too busy on Don Jr. to report this. Exactly, Kim. We can't take our eyes off of that. I just rather let the MSM stay down the rabbit hole, chasing Washington. Yes. Yeah, a lot of jets go in and out, Marianne, from those, like the Air Force Base, military bases, all the time. It was probably, who knows? Maybe it was just something that you couldn't have done anything different about it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sam. You won't answer my question. What is your question, sweetie? What is it, Andre? I'll stop everything and answer your question. We have Air Force Base in Bullocks. No, but if you're gonna do stuff like that, you'll have to just walk on out of here, step by step. Thank you. Now, I think I told you yesterday that there were people who, the ACLU, were suing President Trump because they didn't like the fact that he had appointed this commission for voter fraud, and they didn't like who was heading it. It was Vice President Pence. They didn't like the fact that there had been public meetings without telling the public. They thought this was all for Trump to sort of make himself look good and prove the fact that he was voted in by the popular vote. Again, wow, that's so horrible that he wanted to prove the truth. But anyway, Trump has now appointed a champion of voter integrity to head the commission. He is an elections attorney. His name is J. Christian Adams. And now there shouldn't be a problem with him, and he should be loved by by everyone, but I'm sure he won't be. But I don't know if you remember, he resigned in Yes, thank you, Wayne, keeping score. Thank you, Carmen, for the super hearts. He resigned in 2010 from the DOJ in protest over the Obama administration's mishandling of the 2008 New Panther vote. I don't know if you remember that in Philadelphia, where there was a New Panther leader, or at least a member, who stood out in, I think, two black men that were part of the New Panther movement. They stood out in front of a voting area uh, in the building in Philadelphia with a baton, I believe, and they were intimidating white voters. And I guess the Obama administration really didn't do as much as this man thought that he should in protecting the white voters there. I mean, it's not just about what the race you are. It should be about your rights to vote were impeded, and something should have been done. But it was the Obama administration. So anyway, this is the guy who everybody should be happy with. It should be just like Mueller, right? This guy has a lot of integrity. We can trust him. He's wonderful. So we'll see what the reaction is. I don't hold my breath on it. I'm sure they're going to find something wrong with him. Probably because he was trying to help white voters, he'll be called a racist. I mean, it's got to be something. Karen said, if there's no fraud, give the evidence and make him look like a fool. What's the problem? I know, Karen. They're afraid he won't look like a fool. He is J. Christian Adams is his name. He's an attorney. He used to work for the DOJ under Obama. Read Adam Gingrich article about Ray. Didn't read that, Sally. So, again, if this were Mueller and the Democrats, it would be like, oh, great, I'm so glad that we have this guy in here. But because it's the other way around, I don't think it's going to be that way. Yeah, well, Almighty, we really don't appreciate you coming in and calling everybody in the group names. So thank you, though. Yep, already done that, Barbara. You're uneasy about Ray. Why is that, Sally? Because he's already thrown President Trump under the bus? Is that why? I mean, a lot of these people, I'm not sure who you can really trust. I just know that, President Trump has a lot of vacancies right now, a lot of positions that need to be filled. That was part of the reason that Mitch McConnell said no vacations until at least the third week in August, because we've got all these positions, we've got to confirm all these people. Who wants to take bets on the government shutting down over the wall issue? Shauna, I'm all for it. I don't care. Trust no one except a Navy SEAL. Good advice there, Nancy. Very good advice. Who is Ray like position? FBI director. Somebody was saying that that Ray said that he didn't think Mueller was a witch hunt. No, I don't speak French. Semper Fi, for sure. Always faithful. Carmen, I just told you who Ray was. He is being confirmation hearings right now for FBI director. I hope August is smoldering in D.C. Don't worry, Karen, it will be. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're going to fill all these positions. I really don't know how they're going to fill all these positions. And as far as the judges are concerned, it seems like the Democrats keep getting in the way. Navy and Marines, we got this. Yep, especially Marines. Hoorah. But Mitch McConnell is also keeping them there and not going to recess because of the fact they want to get the health care passed. Clean the cesspool, drain the swamp. Don't worry, they'll sit there in their AC offices. Exactly. I mean, you go out and you just get in a stretch limousine, a black limousine with air conditioning, and you go from point to point. It's not going to bother you. It's very humid in D.C., but that time of year, I mean, extremely humid, but they'll never really notice it. Poor babies. I know. Exactly. How do they make it? We should treat them better. We should give them more money. Would rather have inexperienced people than the snakes in there now. Yep. Meanwhile, North Korea brewing. And Marlene, we haven't heard about North Korea in the last couple days. It's just kind of like, okay, well, back to Russia. We don't really care what's happening in North Korea right now. But we do need to get these people into position, get these other people out that support Obama, and let's move it along. They never break a sweat. No, they don't. I've been driven around D.C. in one of those black stretch limousines that all the Congress people have, and I'm telling you, it's the best ride you'll ever have. Air conditioned. It's like you're floating on air. You don't really feel any of the misery and of being in that humid weather or anything else in D.C. And they do it on a daily basis. So while our veterans don't get the care they need in the VA. Madrid is on top of North Korea. As good as it gets in a car, that's right. A bunch of whiners, yes. Mattis is on top of everything, Kim. Yeah, I think Mattis is. I think, I'm pretty confident so far in what he's doing. So hopefully he will keep doing what he's supposed to do. Except when we were teens, Horson said. Yeah, everybody probably looks at it that way. Some other news, let me talk about out of Texas. In a children's playground in Houston, authorities have launched an investigation after city workers found razor blades embedded in playground equipment at 2 parks. Officials in Huntsville, located about 70 miles north of Houston, found 4 blades on 2 slides at these 2 parks. They said that a heating device looks like it was used to melt portions of the plastic slides, and razor blades were then inserted into the melted surface. Now, I mean, that's somebody who took deliberate time and effort to make that happen. That is pure evil. Yeah. Hey, Marguerite, good to see you. Somebody who does that is very depraved. Shauna said, do you think that Lynch or Comey gave the visa to that lawyer that Don Jr. met with? Nothing would surprise me. Nothing would surprise me. Saw it on a Walmart shopping cart also. Wow. Wow. I mean, kids are really at risk. I mean, we think about the adults all the time, but kids are tremendously at risk. I know that the razor blade thing has been going around, Barbara. It seems to never quit. Why would anyone want to hurt kids like that? Got me. Didn't Sessions and Mattis visit Gitmo? Yes, they did, Karen. I know Sessions went. I don't know if it was Mattis. I thought it was Sessions and Rosenstein that went to Gitmo, but I could be wrong about that. So if you know anybody, with the kids, watch out, look at everything, tell them. I think we've come to it sometimes in this world. You hate to be paranoid, but you have to start looking and acting a little bit paranoid and checking into things that you normally wouldn't check into before. That's kind of where we've come in this world, and it's very unfortunate, but it's terrible. Right out of the pits of hell, Horsens said. Horsens, I've forgotten your name because I haven't seen you in a while. That's a case for demonic possession, Marlene said. McCain was bashing Trump on Face the Nation. Of course, Danielle. We talked about that yesterday. That's what he does best. Utah couple starved their kid and taunted her with food. Sick, empty folks. I saw that, Robert. That was disgusting. And not only that, but they put makeup on the child to make it look like that the child wasn't, the child had been allegedly beaten, bruised, cut, and everything else. And they put, exactly, Horse, they put makeup on the child to make the child look like it hadn't died. And there was a mother and father involved, and it looks like the father's kind of blaming the mother for doing that. But, at the same time, you're the dad. If you're there, you got the responsibility too, whether you like it or not. They killed their child, Marguerite. They starved it to death, and it looks like, allegedly, it looks like its child's been bruised. Thank you, Danielle, for the super hearts. Yes, cut, bruised, burned, tortured. Let's just say that. And then they tried to put makeup on the child to make it look like the child was okay. Okay was not 100% sure. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think Mattis went with that. Jay Sekulow was on with Savannah and Matt Lauer. Boy, oh boy, those two are so combative. Savannah is the most condescending witch, Shauna said. Hey, Robert, good to see you. Yeah, I mean, those people are, you talk about depraved hearts and souls, that's those people. I think that if they did it and they're guilty of what they're being accused of, man, you don't get much lower than that. And I can't imagine how much that child suffered at the hands of those people. Again, if what they say against him is true. Troy Gowdy was fuming over Don Jr. Well, he didn't like it. The left normalizes torturing innocents. Love the flowers, Robert. Thank you. Yeah, poor child. I mean, I think, was it Utah? I mean, I don't know. I don't know which state it was. I can't remember. I don't think I wrote that down. It was just so disgusting. Yeah. Can't wait until Satan gets his due with those people, Marlene said. At least Jay will stand up to anyone for the truth. Jay will. Who was it, Susan, who abused a child? It was a couple, and I don't know what state. They were kind of a youngish couple. I would say in their mid-20s, mid to late 20s. They starved their child, abused their child. Oh, so it was Utah. Okay. Robert said it's Utah. That's right, yeah. You just can't believe that people do that, but, unfortunately, it happens more than we would like to know. Yeah, bottom line, Kim said, Don Jr. did nothing wrong. It's true. Didn't they have other family members that noticed? God doesn't like that. Ugh. I don't know about the other family members, Nancy, but, here you've got the dad who supposedly didn't notice or didn't care or didn't stop it, at least. One of those. It was Utah north of Salt Lake City. Yeah, I don't know. They're both going to be held responsible if they had knowledge or should have had. Hey, Bob, good to see you. Hell is going to be hot for those people. Yeah, I think hell is probably too good for them, Asher, if they actually get convicted of that crime. Nothing Gate Jr. Exactly, Nancy. God has an angel that unleashes bad onto the evil people, and Republicans need to remember that. Well, the Democrats need to remember that too, Carmen. Article said other kids were unhurt, and the other kids, thankfully, will be taken away and put in CPS, I'm sure, and adopted out, which is, in and of itself very traumatic to have kids who are taken from their parents, regardless of the situation. It's not easy at all. And I've worked with kids like that, and I've worked with CPS on things like that. Lots of Masonic satanic rituals around there. Rapture will happen before the tribulation, Carmen said. Yeah, I don't know if what that was. I don't think it was rituals. These people just may have been cruel. Pray for those children to be loved. Yes, they will suffer. That stuff happens all over. Other kids were removed. Yeah. We should work with Russians on cybersecurity against the real hackers, Bob said. Real hackers are probably the Dems or the Ukrainians, right? Or both. And again, why aren't we going to the Dems and saying, okay, we need those servers now? The child was very young. Thank you, Wayne. I don't know exactly, Jerry. Very young, though. Robert said he survived his adoption. And Robert, you could tell us more than anybody what that's like and how that isn't easy for you, I'm sure. And we'd be shocked in some of the things that you probably had to go through. Asher said if they lived in California, the state would give the kids back. No doubt. No, I have worked with a lot of, though, in CPS where they do take the children away in California. Just had a kid beat to death in a public park by the stepdad, and no one stepped in. Danielle, you were adopted too. Did you have a hard adoption? 3 or 4, I heard. Yeah, I think that things are going to start getting worse. We're seeing things get progressively worse, in a lot of respects. And I don't want to generalize, but, you see more cruelty. You see more things happening to children. people not stepping in, when people are being beaten in front of them. I don't know. I mean, there was a woman that was on Facebook yesterday. This is a true story. She was saying that she was in a store in Indiana, and she was starting to feel very dizzy, felt like she was going to faint. She turned to the young cashier. It was a woman, female, probably in her 20s. She said. She turned to her and said, I'm very dizzy. I think I'm going to pass out. She's feeling sick. She needed to sit down. And the woman in Facebook said that the young woman just looked at her and walked away. So I don't, and didn't go for help, didn't call an ambulance, didn't call a supervisor, nothing. So I don't know, there's a failing there of some sort, of either you lack empathy, or you don't know what to do, so you do nothing, or you've never been taught the right thing to do. I don't know. I mean, I'd have to question that. But that's amazing that you could turn your back on somebody who needed help. Moral detachment, Gary said. Prayers for more loving families to foster and adopt children in need. Amen to that, Nancy. I will step in if I see a child being abused. Danielle, me too. Parents didn't spank their butts. Carmen said, call your manager and help support her. I know, Barbara. Compassion, yeah. I mean, I just, it would be unthinkable to me. I would, if I saw animal abuse, I would get in the way of what was happening. I could not turn my back on that. Amanda said she blames the video games. And I think that's a lot of things. I mean, when you see something and people aren't getting hurt or getting right back up after they've been shot on a video game, it's kind of goes over and that becomes your reality. Do I believe in spanking kids? I was spanked as a child. Would I spank kids today? Absolutely not. And I'll tell you why. If you accidentally put a mark, red mark, bruise, or anything on a child in California, you will be in jail and your children will be taken away from you. So you don't have a decision there to make other than the fact that you never lay your hands on your child. Well, I don't disagree. Like I said, I was spanked, and Julie, and I would like to think that I turned out okay and probably better because, if I had, I would have talked back to my mother all day if I weren't getting spanked. But I think what happened is it got out of hand, and people, instead of just spanking, started abusing children, and that's where that's where it got out of hand. Belt, switch, and paddle here. Yep, I know, Marlene. Spank my kids, and they thank me for it. I know, Julie. But, again, if you lived in California, I don't know if you do or not, but I'm telling you, if your child went to school with a red mark, if you grabbed your child by the arm a little bit too hard and left a red mark, you're going to get you're going to get a visit from CPS, and you may get your children taken away from you. I would never hesitate to stand up regardless because I would at least sleep better at night, even if it was in a jail cell, Susan said, and helping people. You got soap in your mouth? Oh, my gosh. Now that I don't believe in at all. Adrian Peterson, NCAA. Thank you for Bible-believing, obedient parents. Yep. I know. My mother said to me that, she apologized for having done that when I was in my 30s. And I said, don't apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. When I was growing up, it was not abusive to spank your children. And, she didn't know. And again, she didn't abuse us. She spanked us, but she didn't abuse us. But today, some people look at spanking as abuse. Thank you, Ron. Michigan proud. Good for you, Ron. Thanks for letting me know that. I love that, Ron. Really appreciate it. They quit spanking me when I looked at my dad at 6 and said, I do not care. Spanking your child is a God-given right. It does say in the Bible to correct your children with a rod. I got the leather belt and wooden spoon. Ugh. Soap in the mouth is abuse in my opinion. I believe that too, Horace. He said, fine, go get your dolls, Barbara. Yeah, I wasn't spanked that often. I think maybe in my whole lifetime as a child, I got about, maybe 5 times because I learned to, after at least the fourth one, I was close to learning to keep my mouth shut. Big difference in SWAT on the bottom versus beating. Exactly, Kim. But like I said, in California, it would matter. From then on, they took things away. Yep, I think people should be able to beat their kids. No, I don't think so. Then we don't talk like that in here. You don't beat your children. You don't abuse an animal, and you don't abuse a child, and you don't abuse an adult. Kids need some good old discipline. If not, they're going to get worse. Robert said, didn't curse at my parents anymore. That's true, Cully. If there's no mark, then no one knows, Bob said. Yeah, I just think, thank you, Wayne. They don't spank in Sweden, Danielle said. Yeah. Well, the threat of a spanking was enough of a deterrent for Asher. You bet my kids are part of the problem? Well, I bet you'd be wrong. I love generalized statements, but, they're nonsensical. Anyway, thank you guys for coming today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your support. I would ask that you retweet this to everybody. Retweet. Thank you so much. Not retweet or retreat, but retweet. Thank you for your support. I see you guys again tomorrow. God bless you. Take care. All right, everybody on YouTube. Sorry we had so many problems this morning. Hopefully tomorrow will be a different day. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.